I'm Thomas Raven, Canadian Coast Guard Search and Rescue. In October 2003, an uncharted island isn't on any map.
My name is Thomas Raven, and I work for the Canadian Coast Guard Search and Rescue. The incident I'm about to tell you about took place off the coast of Haida Gwaii in 2003. And after this event, certain coordinates were permanently marked as a navigational hazard without any explanation. Before continuing, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to like the video. Your support is crucial for us to bring you more fascinating stories. I've been with the Coast Guard for 15 years, working search and rescue operations out of Prince Rupert Station. Being Haida, I grew up around these waters, the Queen Charlotte Islands, now called Haida Gwaii. My grandmother used to tell me stories about islands that came and went, places that didn't follow the rules of the physical world. I never believed her should have. October 17th, 2003. We got a call from a fishing vessel, the Northern Star, reporting an island on their radar that wasn't on any chart. The captain, Mike Sorensen, sounded confused rather than concerned. "It's showing up clear as day," he said over the radio, "but it's not on my charts. Been fishing these waters 20 years, never seen it before." I pulled up our navigation system. The coordinates he gave, 53 degrees, 15 minutes north, 132 degrees, 47 minutes west, showed open water. Nothing but the ocean for miles. Probably a radar ghost, I told him. Atmospheric conditions can create false returns. "I'm looking at it with my eyes, Raven. It's there." That got my attention. I radioed my partner, Elena Martinez, and within an hour we were airborne in the helicopter. The weather was clear. Visibility was excellent. If there was an island, we'd see it. "There," Elena said, pointing ahead. I saw it, a landmass roughly 2 kilometers long, heavily forested, rising maybe 300 feet above sea level. Steep cliffs on the western side, what looked like a beach on the eastern shore. "How the hell did we miss this?" Elena asked. I checked our charts again. Nothing. I pulled up satellite imagery from last month. Open water. I even accessed geological survey data going back to the 1950s. No island at these coordinates, ever. "This doesn't make sense," I said. We circled the island twice. It looked solid, real. Old-growth cedar and spruce covered the interior. No signs of human habitation, no structures, no smoke, just pristine wilderness. "Should we land?" Elena asked. Something in my gut said no. My grandmother's voice echoed in my memory. "When Ka'au appears, stay away." Ka'au. Raven's Island. One of the old stories. "Let's get coordinates and photographs first," I said. "Report this to headquarters." As we flew back to Prince Rupert, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd seen something we weren't supposed to see back at the station. I filed my report. Commander Patricia Wells looked at the photographs with a frown. "You're telling me there's a 2-kilometer island that's never been charted?" "That's what I'm telling you." "Could it be volcanic? New formation? No seismic activity in the area, no heat signatures. It looks old, Wells. Ancient forest, established ecosystem. This isn't new land." She tapped her pen on the desk. "I'll contact Geological Survey. In the meantime, issue a notice to mariners. Uncharted landmass. Approach with caution." Over the next 3 days, 5 more vessels reported the island. Each gave slightly different coordinates. The island was moving, not drifting with currents. That would be consistent, predictable. This was different. One fishing boat reported it at 53 degrees 15 minutes north. Another 12 hours later at 53 degrees 18 minutes north. The island had moved 3 nautical miles north. Overnight. Islands don't move. Commander Wells said when I showed her the data. This one does. She stared at the reports. Or multiple vessels are experiencing the same navigational error. 5 different GPS systems, 5 different crews, all making the same mistake. She had no answer. On October 21st, a recreational sailboat called the Dawn Treader reported anchoring near the island. A couple, James and Catherine Porter, tourists from Vancouver, decided to go ashore to explore. They never came back. The sailboat was found the next morning, anchored in open water, no island nearby. The dinghy was tied to the stern, dry and unused. Personal belongings still on board. No signs of struggle, and no James and Catherine Porter. That's when I knew this was more than a navigational anomaly. I requested permission to lead a search operation. Commander Wells hesitated, then agreed. You've got 48 hours. Find that island, find those people, and figure out what the hell is going on. I assembled a team. Elena, 2 rescue divers, Marcus Wilde and Emily Blackwood, and a Haida elder named Robert Wilson. I'd asked for Robert specifically. If this had anything to do with the old stories, we needed someone who knew them. Robert was in his 70s, weathered by decades on the water. When I told him about the moving island, his face went pale. Ka'au has returned, he said quietly. You know about this. My grandfather told me. His grandfather told him. The island appears every 50 years, always in the fall, always for 47 days. 47 days? Why 47? That's how long the curse lasts. Then the island disappears, taking everyone on it. They don't come back. Elena laughed nervously. Come on, Robert. Islands don't just vanish. This one does. Been doing it for centuries. The Haida sealed it away in 1703, but the seal weakens every 50 years. Ka'au returns. I did the math. If it appeared every 50 years. 1953, 1903, 1853. Robert nodded. In 1953, a Coast Guard cutter investigated 6 crew members went ashore. None returned. The vessel was found abandoned, engines still running. A chill ran through me. Was one of them named Raven? Robert's eyes met mine. Your grandmother, Catherine Raven. She was 24 years old, newly assigned to the Coast Guard station. My grandmother. I'd been told she died in a training accident in 1953, lost at sea, body never recovered. My mother was 3 years old when it happened. Why didn't anyone tell me? The incident was classified. The Canadian government didn't want panic. They covered it up, called it a training accident. Your family never knew the truth. I felt anger rising. So she's been missing for 50 years and nobody looked for her. They looked, Robert said. For months. But Ka'au was gone, vanished, and everyone assumed those who landed on the island were dead. Assumed. Robert hesitated. The stories say the island exists outside normal time. Those who go there, they don't experience time the same way we do. 47 days on Ka'au might be 50 years out here. That's impossible. So is an island that moves and disappears, yet here we are. We set out at dawn on October 23rd. Our vessel, the Pacific Guardian, was a 40-foot rescue boat equipped with radar, sonar, and enough supplies for a week-long operation. The coordinates from the most recent sighting led us northwest of Haida Gwaii, into waters I'd navigated 100 times. We saw nothing but ocean. Then, at 0847 hours, it appeared on radar. Dead ahead, 5 nautical miles. There, Marcus said, pointing. The island rose from the water like it had always been there, one moment empty horizon, the next moment solid landmass. No gradual appearance, no fade-in, just there. Did anyone else see that? Emily asked, her voice shaking. We all had. As we approached, I studied the island through binoculars. The forest was dense, old-growth cedar that must have been centuries old. The beach was rocky, strewn with driftwood. Everything looked normal except for one detail. No birds, Elena said. No seabirds circling. No gulls. Nothing. She was right. The island was silent. We anchored 50 meters offshore. The water was deep, over 100 meters according to sonar, strange for an island this size. Usually there'd be a gradual shelf, a shallowing approach. But here the seafloor dropped off sharply, like the island was sitting on top of an underwater mountain. I'm going ashore, I said. Bad idea, Robert warned. Everyone who's landed on Ka'au has disappeared. The porters are missing. If there's any chance they're alive, I have to look. Then I'm coming with you, Elena said. Me too, Marcus added. Robert shook his head but didn't argue. Don't stay after sunset. The stories say the island is different at night. We took the Zodiac to shore, beaching it on the rocky shoreline. The moment I stepped onto the island, I felt it. A wrongness. Like the air pressure was off, or gravity pulled slightly differently. Hard to describe, but impossible to ignore. You feel that? Elena asked. I nodded. Stay close, stay alert. We moved inland, following what looked like a game trail through the forest. The trees were massive, their trunks easily 3 meters in diameter. Moss hung in thick curtains, and the undergrowth was dense with ferns. After 20 minutes of hiking, we found something that made us stop. A campsite, tent still standing, sleeping bags laid out. A small fire pit with cold ashes, and on a flat rock, arranged in a neat line, were personal items. A wallet, a camera, a wedding ring, and a watch. I picked up the wallet. James Porter's driver's license stared back at me. They were here, Marcus said, stating the obvious. But they weren't here now. Elena examined the campsite. No signs of struggle, no blood. It's like they just walked away from everything. I opened the camera and checked the display. The last photo was dated October 21st, 1953. That's impossible, I said, showing it to Elena. The camera was digital, modern, but the timestamp read 1953. Equipment malfunction, Elena suggested, but she didn't sound convinced. We continued searching, moving deeper into the island's interior. The wrongness intensified with every step. Time felt elastic. Minutes stretching or compressing. My watch showed 10-12 hours, but it felt like we'd been walking for 3 hours. Or 3 minutes, I couldn't tell. Then we found the second campsite. This one was older. The tent was canvas, military style from the 1950s. Beside it, a metal footlocker with Canadian Coast Guard insignia, and inside the footlocker, neatly folded, was a uniform with a name tag. C. Raven, my grandmother's uniform. Thomas, Elena said softly, putting a hand on my shoulder. I picked up the uniform, felt the weight of it, 50 years old, but perfectly preserved. No mold, no decay, like it had been placed here yesterday. A sound made us turn. Footsteps crunching on the forest floor. From the trees emerged a figure. A woman, young, maybe mid-20s. She wore a Coast Guard uniform from the 1950s, her dark hair pulled back, her face confused and frightened. She looked exactly like the photographs I'd seen of my grandmother. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice wary. "What are you doing on my island?" I stared at her, unable to speak. Elena stepped forward. "We're Canadian Coast Guard. We're looking for missing persons. Who are you?" The woman frowned. "Catherine Raven, officer, Canadian Coast Guard. I've been stationed on this island for observation duty since October 17th. 4 days now." 4 days. She thought it had been 4 days. Catherine, I managed to say, what year is it? She looked at me like I was insane. 1953. October 21st, 1953. What kind of question is that? Robert's words echoed in my mind. 47 days on Kau might be 50 years out here. I was looking at my grandmother, 24 years old, exactly as she was the day she disappeared. And she had no idea that 50 years had passed. Explaining to someone that 50 years have passed when they've experienced only 4 days is like trying to describe color to someone blind from birth. Catherine didn't believe us. Couldn't believe us. This is 1953, she insisted. I have a 3-year-old daughter at home. I have duty reports due next week. You're not making any sense. I pulled out my wallet, showed her my Coast Guard ID, the date on the hologram, 2003. She studied it, her expression shifting from confusion to fear. This is a trick, some kind of test. Did Commander Morrison put you up to this? Catherine, I said gently. Commander Morrison retired in 1978. He died in 1995. Her face went pale. That's not funny. Elena tried a different approach. What's the last thing you remember before landing on this island? Catherine took a shaky breath. We received reports of an uncharted landmass. Standard protocol, investigate and document. I volunteered to go ashore with 5 others. We made camp the first night, began surveying the next morning. The others, she paused. The others started acting strange, forgetting things, wandering off. By the second day I was alone. I've been searching for them ever since. How long have you been searching? I asked. 4 days, maybe 5 now. Time feels strange here. My watch stopped working. Time felt strange. That was an understatement. Marcus had been quiet, but now he spoke up. We need to get off this island. Now, before we get stuck like Catherine. He was right. But I couldn't leave her, and I couldn't leave without finding the porters. Give us until sunset, I said. We search for the missing couple, then we all leave together. Robert's voice crackled over the radio. Thomas, you've been gone for 3 hours. I checked my watch. We'd been on the island for 40 minutes. Robert confirmed the time. 13:47 hours. 3 hours. We'd lost over 2 hours somehow. We need to move, Elena said urgently. Whatever's happening here, it's happening to us too. Catherine led us deeper into the island. She'd been exploring for days, or what felt like days to her, and claimed to have found something we needed to see. The forest grew denser, darker. The trees here were ancient, their trunks scarred with carvings. Haida symbols, but older than any I'd seen before. They weren't warnings or territorial markers. They were seals, binding symbols. This is what I wanted to show you, Catherine said. Stopping at a clearing in the center stood a longhouse. Traditional Haida architecture, but massive. Easily 60 feet long. The wooden posts were carved with figures, ravens, bears, eagles, but these weren't the clean, stylized form lines I knew. These were twisted, distorted, like the carver had been trying to capture something that hurt to look at. I found this on the 3rd day, Catherine said. I haven't gone inside. Something about it feels wrong. Smart woman, my grandmother. We approached cautiously. The entrance was a large oval opening carved to resemble a raven's mouth. Inside was darkness so complete it seemed to absorb our flashlight beams. This structure shouldn't exist, Marcus said. The Haida haven't built traditional longhouses for over a century. This would have to be from the 1800s at latest, but it looks brand new. Because it doesn't age here, Elena realized. Nothing ages on this island. Catherine's been here 50 years and hasn't aged a day. The implications hit me like a physical blow. If time worked differently here, if things didn't age or decay, the porters could still be alive, I said, somewhere on this island, thinking only a few days have passed. Or they could be inside, Catherine said, looking at the longhouse. I radioed Robert. We're going into a structure on the island. If we don't check in within 30 minutes, leave without us. Thomas, that's an order. Robert, get the Pacific Guardian away from here. Report everything to Commander Wells. Static, then. Understood. 30 minutes. We entered the longhouse. The interior was cold, far colder than it should have been. Our breath misted in the air. The floor was packed earth, and along the walls were bentwood boxes, traditional Haida storage containers, dozens of them stacked and organized. Elena opened one. Inside were personal effects, modern clothing, a cell phone, keys, wallet. The wallet had an ID, Susan Martinez, dated 1953. Another box, items from 1903. Another, 1853. Going back. It's collecting them, Marcus whispered. Every 50 years, everyone who comes to the island, their belongings end up here. At the far end of the longhouse, we found the porters. James and Catherine sat cross-legged on the floor, staring at the wall. They didn't react when we called their names, didn't move when we touched them. Their eyes were open but unseeing, breathing but barely, alive but absent. What's wrong with them? Elena asked. I followed their gaze to the wall they were staring at. Carved into the wood were words in Haida, old dialect, hard to read, but I could make out the meaning. Those who land on Ka'au will feed the keeper. Their time becomes its time. Their years extend its years. Feed the keeper, Catherine read. What does that mean? A sound behind us, deep, resonant like a drumbeat, but organic alive. We turned. Standing in the entrance was a figure, tall, easily 7 feet. It wore a raven mask, but not a ceremonial one. This mask was part of its face, carved features fused with flesh. Its body was draped in cedar bark, but underneath I caught glimpses of something that wasn't quite human. Too many joints, limbs that bent wrong. It spoke in Haida, voice layered with harmonics that shouldn't come from a human throat. Time walkers, you trespass. Catherine raised her service weapon. Identify yourself. The creature tilted its head. I am what remains when time is broken. I am the keeper. I am the cost of immortality. The shaman, I realized, from the stories, the one who tried to achieve immortality in 1703. I succeeded, the creature said. But success was curse. I cannot die, I cannot age. I exist between moments, feeding on the years of others to sustain my prison. Prison? Elena asked. This island, Ka'au. My people bound me here, sealed me away from the world. But the seal weakens. Every 50 years the barrier thins, the island appears. And those who come, they feed me. Not by choice, not by design, but by necessity. Your time keeps me bound. Without it, I would be free, would spread, would consume all time in this world. So you're the lesser evil, Marcus said bitterly. We sacrifice a few people every 50 years to keep you contained. Yes, what happens to them? I gestured to the porters. Where are they? Here, always here. I do not take them instantly. They experience 47 days while 50 years pass outside. Then, when the island disappears, they come with it into the space between. They exist there, unchanging, until the island returns. I looked at Catherine. The 5 crew members who came with you in 1953, they're still here? Still alive? Yes. 47 days for them. 50 years in your world. When this cycle ends, they will disappear with the island Catherine was meant to join them. But you arrived before the cycle completed. How much time is left? I asked. The creature moved closer. 14 days. Then Ka'au disappears. All who remain will be taken. Unless we break the seal, I said. Unless we free you and destroy the island. That would kill everyone here. Everyone trapped in the cycle's hundreds of souls, frozen in time, would age their missing years instantly. Your Catherine would become 74 in seconds. The porters would age 4 days. The others, some have been here for centuries. They would age hundreds of years and crumble to dust. But you would be free, Elena said, and the world would face what the Haida feared in 1703, a being that consumes time itself. I would spread across your world like a disease. Every moment you experience would become mine. Hours would pass like seconds. Lives would burn in days. I am contained here for good reason. Catherine lowered her weapon. So we're trapped. Either we die here or we let the island take us. Or, I said slowly, we extend the seal, make it permanent. The keeper turned its masked face toward me. Impossible. The seal was designed for 50-year intervals. To make it permanent would require, it paused, a willing sacrifice. Someone who chooses to stay, to feed me their time willingly, continuously. That person would exist here on this island for eternity, never aging, never dying, but never leaving. Their continuous presence would strengthen the seal, make the island permanent, prevent it from appearing in your world again. No, Catherine said immediately. Absolutely not. But I understood. Someone had to stay, had to choose to remain on Ka'au, to give the keeper enough time energy to maintain the seal without it weakening every 50 years. I'll do it, I said. Thomas, no, Elena grabbed my arm. Listen to me. If we leave, Catherine disappears in 14 days. The porters are already trapped, and in 2053 this happens again. More people disappear, unless we end it now. By sacrificing yourself, Marcus said, there has to be another way. There isn't. You heard it, a willing sacrifice, someone who chooses to stay. Catherine stepped forward. I should be the one. I'm already displaced. I have no life to go back to. My daughter is grown, probably has children of her own. 50 years have passed. I'm a ghost from the past. You're my grandmother, I said. You have a family who never got to say goodbye. My mother, me. You deserve to go home. Home doesn't exist for me anymore, Catherine said softly. 1953 is gone. Everyone I knew, everything I understood, it's all changed. But you have a life, Thomas. You have a career, friends, a world that knows you. Don't give that up. The keeper watched our argument in silence. Finally it spoke. The choice must be made before sunset. Once night falls on the island, the decision becomes permanent. Choose, time walkers. Choose who stays. Choose who feeds the keeper for eternity. It walked back into the shadows of the longhouse, leaving us in the cold darkness with an impossible decision. We had until sunset to decide who would sacrifice their future to save everyone else. And the sun was already starting to fall. We sat outside the longhouse as the sun sank lower, painting the sky orange and red. The porters remained inside, catatonic. The 5 crew members from 1953 were somewhere on the island, trapped in their own 4-day loop, and we had to decide which one of us would join them in eternity. There has to be another way, Elena said for the third time. Some loophole. There isn't, Catherine said. She'd been quiet since our argument, sitting on a fallen log, staring at her hands that hadn't aged in 50 years. I've had 4 days to explore this island, 4 days that somehow equal 50 years. Time doesn't work here. Logic doesn't work here. The only rule that matters is what the keeper demands. Marcus checked his watch. We have maybe 3 hours until sunset. Robert will have reported to Commander Wells by now. They'll send a rescue team. Who will also get trapped, I said. No. We can't risk more lives. So we sacrifice you instead. Elena's voice cracked. Thomas, I've worked with you for 6 years. You're the best SAR officer I know. You can't just give up your life. I'm not giving it up. I'm extending it. Infinitely. Just here. That's not living. That's existing. That's prison. She wasn't wrong. Catherine stood up. I'm 74 years old, or I should be. I've already lost 50 years. My daughter is... God, she'd be 53 now. Older than I am. How do I even begin to explain that to her? Hi, I'm your mother, but I'm younger than you now. Sorry I missed your childhood, your wedding, your life. She'd want to know you, I said. She deserves to know you. Does she? What do I offer her except confusion and pain? A mother who's a time anomaly? No, it's better this way. Better for everyone if I stay. I'm already a ghost, Thomas. Let me be a useful one. Grandmother, she cut me off. I'm not your grandmother. Not yet. I haven't earned that title. I haven't lived those years, haven't raised my daughter, haven't watched her grow. I'm just Catherine Raven, 24, displaced and broken. But I can be something more. I can be the one who saves everyone else from this curse. The sun touched the horizon. We're out of time, Marcus said. I stood up, walked to the edge of the clearing. Behind me, I heard Elena and Catherine arguing, heard Marcus trying to find compromises that didn't exist. But I wasn't listening. I was thinking about my mother. She was 53 now. She'd grown up without a mother, told that Catherine died in a training accident, a hero's death. Clean, final, no confusion. If Catherine went back now, what would that do to her? What would it do to the family? A mother younger than her daughter, unable to relate to the world she'd lost. But Catherine was right. She deserved a life, even a confusing, displaced one. I made my decision. Catherine, I called out. How do we do this? How does the sacrifice work? She walked over, relief and guilt warring on her face. The keeper showed me earlier. There's a ritual. Blood mixed with cedar ash spread on the threshold of the longhouse. The person staying speaks their consent in Haida. The seal reforms, permanent this time. The island becomes fixed in this between space, and whoever stayed becomes its eternal guardian. And the keeper? Bound here with them forever. It can't leave either. That's part of the bargain. I nodded slowly. Then let's do it, before I lose my nerve. Thomas, no. Elena grabbed my shoulder. Let me. I don't have family. No kids. No. You have a life, Elena. Friends. A career you love. Me, I'm Haida. This is Haida land. This is a Haida curse. It should be a Haida person who maintains the seal. That's bullshit, and you know it. Maybe. But it's the bullshit I'm going with. I pulled away from Elena's grip and looked at each of them in turn. Marcus, who I'd trained 2 years ago when he first joined SAR. Elena, my partner through countless rescues, who'd pulled me out of icy water more than once. And Catherine, my grandmother, who was somehow younger than me, who'd lost everything, but still had the courage to offer herself. Listen to me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. This isn't about martyrdom or some heroic gesture. It's mathematics. cold, simple mathematics. If I don't stay, this cycle continues. 2,053 more people disappear. 2,103 more deaths, forever. But if I stay, it ends. One life for potentially thousands over the centuries. That's not sacrifice. That's just accounting. Accounting, Elena repeated bitterly. You're reducing your entire existence to a math problem. Because that's what it is. Search and rescue taught me that. Sometimes you can't save everyone. Sometimes you have to choose who lives and who doesn't, and this time I'm choosing all of you. Catherine produced a knife from her belt, standard Coast Guard issue. We need blood, not much, just enough to mix with the ash. I held out my palm, then pulled it back. Wait, before we do this, I need to say some things. Things I won't get another chance to say. I turned to Marcus first. You're going to be a great officer. Better than me, probably. You have the instinct for it, the calm under pressure. When you get back, tell Commander Wells to promote you. Tell her I recommended it. Marcus's jaw tightened. Thomas, and stop second-guessing yourself on calls. Your instincts are good. Trust them. Elena was next. You remember that night we got stuck on the ice floe, February 2001? She nodded, tears starting to form. You said if we made it out alive, you owed me a beer. I'm calling that in. Have that beer for me. Hell, have a whole case. And when you do, tell the story about how I stayed behind on Ka'au. Make it sound heroic. Make it sound like I knew what I was doing. Don't tell them I was terrified. You're not terrified, Elena said. You're the bravest person I know. I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm just good at hiding it. Finally, I turned to Catherine. This was the hardest part. Grandmother. God, it's still strange to call you that. You're going back to a world that's moved on without you. It's going to be hard, confusing, painful, but you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't hide, don't disappear. I know it'll be tempting to change your name, start over somewhere where nobody knows you. But my mother, your daughter, she needs to know you. She needs to know what happened. And she needs to know that her mother loved her, even from 50 years away. Catherine's tears fell freely now. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You survived 4 days on this island alone. You survived losing everything. You're stronger than you think. And, I paused, trying to find the right words. Tell her I looked like you. Tell her I had your stubbornness, your sense of duty. Tell her that's why I stayed, because staying is what ravens do. Thomas, please, tell her. I will. I promise. I took a deep breath and held out my palm again. Okay. I'm ready. Catherine cut quickly, efficiently. Blood welled up, dark in the fading light. It hurt more than I expected, but I didn't flinch. From the longhouse, the keeper emerged, carrying a wooden bowl filled with gray ash. It approached slowly, ceremonially, its movements fluid and unnatural. You have chosen. Thomas Raven will stay. Thomas Raven will feed me. Thomas Raven will maintain the seal for eternity. Wait, Catherine said. No, this isn't right. It should be me. I'm the one who's already lost my life. I'm the one who... I turned to her, putting my bloodied hand on her shoulder, leaving a crimson mark on her uniform. Tell my mother about you. Tell her how brave her mother was. Tell her the truth, that you didn't abandon her, that you were taken, that you never stopped thinking about her, even though time stole those years. Can you do that? Tears ran down Catherine's face. Thomas, can you do that? Yes, I can do that. Then that's enough. That's more than enough. I smiled, trying to make it genuine. Besides, Someone needs to tell the family stories. Someone needs to remember that ravens are stubborn and stupid enough to stay on cursed islands. That's your job now. The keeper mixed my blood with the cedar ash. The mixture turned black, thick, almost alive. As it stirred, I saw things in the swirling darkness. Images, memories, time itself folding and unfolding. The mixture writhed like it was breathing. "This is it," the keeper said, its voice softer than before. "Once you speak the words, once you spread the mixture, there is no return. Your consciousness will be bound to Ka'au. Your body will cease to age. You will exist in the eternal moment between seconds. Do you understand what you are accepting?" "I understand." "Do you accept it willingly, without coercion, without reservation?" I looked at my team one last time. Elena was crying openly now. Marcus had turned away, unable to watch. Catherine stood frozen, guilt and grief warring on her face. I accepted willingly. The keeper handed me the bowl. The mixture was warm, almost hot, pulsing with something that felt alive. "Spread it on the threshold, speak the words, and your choice becomes permanent." I took the bowl. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. This was it, the point of no return. After this, I'd be bound here. Forever. No aging, no death, no life beyond this island and its eternal autumn, no morning coffee. No boat rides in the rain. No late-night conversations with friends at the pub. No chance of a family, a future, a normal human existence. Just this. Forever. I walked to the longhouse entrance and began to spread the mixture on the threshold. It sank into the wood like it was being absorbed by a sponge, the black spreading like veins through the ancient cedar. The pattern it created wasn't random. It formed symbols, Haida glyphs I'd never seen before but somehow understood. They meant binding, prison, sacrifice, guardian, eternal. The words came to me, ancient Haida that I somehow knew, pulled from some ancestral memory buried deep in my DNA. I am Thomas Raven. I choose to stay. I choose to feed the keeper. I choose to seal Ka'au from the world. By my blood and my breath, by my time and my will, I bind this place and bind myself forever. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then everything happened at once. The air pressure changed violently, like being deep underwater. The temperature dropped so fast my breath turned to fog. The ground beneath me vibrated like something massive had just awakened beneath the island. Light erupted from the longhouse, brilliant and cold and utterly alien. Not sunlight, not fire, something else entirely. Something that existed outside the normal spectrum of light. It was like staring into the moment before time began. I felt it pierce through me, through flesh and bone, and whatever constitutes a soul, felt something fundamental in my being shift, break, and reassemble in a new configuration. My DNA rewriting itself. My cells entering a state of suspended animation. My consciousness expanding to encompass the entire island. I could feel everything. Every tree, every stone, every molecule of air. I could feel the keeper beside me, its ancient presence like a second heartbeat in my chest. I could feel the barrier between worlds. The seal that now bound Ka'au permanently into this pocket dimension. And I could feel time, past, present, future, all flowing together, all the same, all eternally now. Then it was done. The light faded. The vibration stopped. But the world looked different now. Colors were sharper, more vibrant than they should be. Sounds were clearer. I could hear individual waves breaking on the beach miles away, could hear the breathing of my team, could hear their hearts beating, and I could feel the island. Not just sense it, but feel it, like it was part of my body. The trees were my nerves, the rocks were my bones, the wind was my breath, or I was part of it. Hard to tell the difference anymore. The keeper approached, its raven mask reflecting the frozen sunset. It is done. You are bound. The seal is permanent. Ka'au will no longer appear in your world, and you, Thomas Raven, will remain here, with me for eternity. The others? I asked, and my voice sounded strange in my own ears, layered, echoing with the harmonics that shouldn't exist. The porters? The 5 from 1953? Will wake Will age their missing time, and will leave. The seal required only one sacrifice. You have given yourself. The others are free. Small comfort, but comfort nonetheless. Behind me, Catherine sobbed. Elena stood frozen, horror and grief on her face. Marcus finally turned back to look at me, and I saw him flinch. I must have looked different now, changed. You need to go, I said, trying to keep my voice normal. Before you become trapped too. The ritual is complete, but the island is still partially in your world. You have maybe an hour to get back to the boat. Thomas, Elena started. Go. That's an order. Get everyone off this island. Get them home. She nodded, unable to speak. Her face was the last human face I would see for how long? Decades? Centuries? Forever? Marcus moved to help the porters, who were beginning to stir, confusion replacing their catatonic state. They looked around, disoriented, not understanding where they were or what had happened. Catherine was the last to approach me. She moved slowly, like approaching something dangerous. When she got close, she stopped, staring at my face. Your eyes, she whispered. They're different. Different how? Like the keeper's, like you're seeing more than what's here. I probably was. I could see the threads of time flowing around her, could see the 50 years she'd lost, could see the future she was walking toward. It was beautiful and terrifying. She reached out slowly and put her hand on my cheek. Her touch felt distant, muted, like feeling through thick gloves. I'm so sorry, she whispered. This should have been me. I'm the one who was already lost. Don't be sorry. You're going home, to my mother, to your daughter. That's what matters. That's everything. What do I tell her? How do I explain what you did? Tell her. I paused, trying to find words that would make sense. Tell her I was doing my job. Search and rescue. I found people who needed help, and I helped them, that's all. Don't make it more than that. But it is more than that. You gave up everything. I gave up one future for thousands of futures. Tell her that. Tell her I did the math and the numbers made sense. I smiled, though I wasn't sure my face could still make that expression properly. Tell her ravens are good at math. Catherine smiled through her tears. Then she leaned in and kissed my forehead, the way a grandmother might kiss a grandchild. Except she was 24 and I was 36, and everything was backwards and wrong. I'll tell her everything, I promise, and I'll make sure she knows you. I'll tell her every story I can remember, every detail. She'll grow up knowing her son was a hero. Don't say hero. Say he was stubborn. Say he was too dumb to quit when he should have. I'll tell her the truth, that you were both. She stepped back, her hand falling away. Then she turned and walked away, following the others back through the forest. I watched them go, watched my team, my grandmother, the rescued civilians disappear into the trees, watched my future walk away without me. The keeper stood beside me, silent for a long moment. Then it spoke. You will not be alone. I am here. We are both prisoners now, both guardians. Perhaps that is enough. Perhaps, I said. but I didn't believe it. They made it off the island with 20 minutes to spare. Robert confirmed by radio that everyone was accounted for. Catherine, Elena, Marcus, the porters, and the 5 crew members from 1953. The 5 had aged not badly, just 4 days' worth. But it was enough to confirm what had happened. They remembered landing on the island, remembered 4 days of confusion and searching, remembered nothing of the 50 years that had passed in the world. The porters aged 4 days and had no memory of being catatonic. They thought they'd been camping, gotten lost, been rescued. Simple, clean. Catherine aged nothing. She'd been on the island exactly as long as her body believed. She returned to a world 50 years ahead of her, but with her youth intact. As the Pacific Guardian pulled away, I felt the island shift. Not physically, dimensionally. We were sliding out of sync with the regular world, moving into that between space the keeper had mentioned. The sunset froze at the horizon. The light became fixed, eternal twilight. The temperature settled at exactly cool but comfortable. And I understood. Time had stopped for me, not frozen. That implies something rigid. More like paused. I could still move, think, act. But I wouldn't age, wouldn't change, wouldn't die forever. The keeper turned to me. Come, I will show you the island, your island now, our prison, our responsibility. I followed it through the forest. As we walked, it spoke, explaining the nature of Ka'au, the history of the curse, the mechanics of the seal. In 1703, a Haida shaman named Ka'au, yes, the island was named after him, attempted a ritual to achieve immortality. He succeeded, but the immortality came with a cost. He became untethered from time, existing in all moments simultaneously, past, present, future, all the same to him. He began to spread, his influence touching others, pulling them into his temporal anomaly. The Haida elders realized the danger. They couldn't kill Ka'au. He was already beyond death, so they bound him instead. Created this island, sealed it into a pocket dimension, allowed it to touch the regular world only briefly every 50 years, just enough for Ka'au to feed on time to maintain his existence, but not enough for him to spread. The cost, anyone who landed on the island during those 47 days would become fuel. Their experience time would feed Ka'au, keeping him sustained but contained. And now I'm here to make it permanent, I said. My continuous presence gives you enough time energy that you don't need the 50-year cycle. Correct, you will age, but so slowly that eternity and instant are the same. Perhaps one day you will age enough to die. Perhaps not. Time has lost meaning for both of us. Comforting. I do not offer comfort, I offer truth. You are bound here because you chose to be. That is more than I can say for myself. We reached the highest point of the island, a rocky outcrop that overlooked the entire landmass. From here, I could see the forest, the beach, the longhouse, could see everything that was now my eternal domain. How long have you been here? I asked the keeper. 301 years, or 301 moments. I cannot tell anymore. Do you regret it? The ritual? Every day, and never regret requires time before and after. I exist outside time. I cannot regret what I cannot perceive as past. I can only be. I sat down on the rocks. The sun remained frozen at the horizon, painting everything in permanent twilight. Beautiful, peaceful, and utterly, completely alone. Will anyone else ever come here? I asked. No. The seal is permanent. Ka'au no longer touches your world. We are isolated. Forever. Then it's just you and me. Yes. Great. Hope you're good at conversation. The keeper made a sound that might have been laughter. 300 years of silence have not made me eloquent. But perhaps together we can learn. Commander Patricia Wells filed her report on October 29, 2003. The official record states that Search and Rescue Officer Thomas Raven died in the line of duty during a rescue operation near Haida Gwaii. His body was not recovered. He was posthumously awarded the Star of Courage for his actions in rescuing 7 civilians and 1 Coast Guard officer from an uncharted island. The island itself was classified as a navigational hazard and removed from all civilian charts. The coordinates were marked as containing dangerous reefs and unpredictable currents. Vessels were warned to avoid the area. Catherine Raven's return was complicated. After extensive debriefing and psychological evaluation, she was honorably discharged from the Coast Guard. The government provided her with documents, a new identity, and financial support to help her adjust to 2003. She met her daughter 3 weeks after returning. Elizabeth Raven Morrison, 53 years old, a grandmother herself, looked at the young woman claiming to be her mother with undisguised shock. But over time, they built a relationship. Elizabeth had questions, so many questions, and Catherine had answers. Partial answers, confused answers, but answers. They never spoke publicly about what happened. The cover story that Catherine had been in a coma in a remote medical facility, misidentified, only recently discovered, was thin but serviceable. Some people believed it, others didn't. But nobody had a better explanation. Elena Martinez requested a transfer after the incident. She couldn't work Haida Gwaii waters anymore, couldn't look at the ocean without thinking about what lay beneath, what was sealed away, who was sealed away. She retired from the Coast Guard in 2015 and moved to Toronto. She never spoke about October 2003, never told the real story. But once a year, on October 23rd, she'd drive to the coast and pour a drink into the water. For Thomas. Marcus Wilde and Emily Blackwood continued their careers. The incident was classified in their records, their testimonies sealed. They knew better than to talk about it. The Porters returned to Vancouver with a story about getting lost and being rescued. They never went camping again. The 5 crew members from 1953 struggled to adjust. They'd lost 50 years. Their families had aged or died. The world had moved on without them. Some adapted, others didn't. But they were alive, and that was more than many could say. And on the island, in eternal twilight, Thomas Raven walks the beaches, explores the forest, and talks with a 300-year-old shaman about the nature of time, sacrifice, and what it means to be human when humanity has been stripped away. He doesn't age, doesn't sleep, though he can if he wants. Doesn't hunger, though food manifests if he desires it. He exists in a space outside normal reality, a guardian of a seal that protects the world from a curse it doesn't know exists. Sometimes he stands on the rocky outcrop and looks toward where the horizon should be, where the sun should rise and set, and wonders if anyone remembers him, if his sacrifice meant something, if his choice mattered. The keeper tells him it did, that the seal holds, that the world is safe. But alone in the eternal twilight, Thomas Raven wonders if anyone in that world even knows what they were saved from, and if not knowing makes the sacrifice any less real. 50 years after the incident, a team of researchers attempted to locate the island described in the classified reports. Using the coordinates from the 2003 operation, they found nothing but open water. Advanced sonar revealed no underwater formations. Satellite imagery showed no evidence of landmass. Even historical analysis of the area going back 2 centuries showed consistent ocean depth with no geological anomalies. The island, Ka'au, had been completely removed from our reality. But occasionally, fishermen in Haida Gwaii report seeing something strange on their radar. A brief ping, lasting only seconds, at coordinates that correspond roughly to the classified reports. When they approach, they find nothing, but if they listen, really listen, some claim they can hear a voice on the wind, speaking in Haida, speaking in English, saying the same words over and over. "I'm still here, the seal holds, stay away." A warning, or perhaps a prayer, from a guardian who sacrificed everything to keep a world safe from something it will never know existed. Thomas Raven, Coast Guard officer, the keeper's companion, the man who chose to exist forever, so that others could live their natural lives, and somewhere, in a space between moments, on an island that no longer touches our world, he continues his eternal watch, alone, but not forgotten.